In this video of the Historic Ordnance series, we are going to be looking at the formerly Soviet, now Russian, MVN-72 magnetically influenced anti-tank mine Fuze. Now, you may notice I've done this video before, and I have to redo it. The reason for that is a thumbnail picture. When I go through do videos, I get pictures offline through basic Google search of free images. Well, apparently one of the images that I used just for a thumbnail photo over on YouTube, the company that's the source for that photo, which came up as a free image, that company claimed a copyright, and they threatened me that I need to contact them and start promoting their company, or they were going to put in a copyright strike against my channel and get that video removed. I did appeal it to YouTube, and YouTube's response was, well, this is a legal matter now, so we have to remove the video and give you a strike. I told YouTube, though, in my appeal, that the picture I used, and I had sent this as a reply to the person that was claiming the copyright, that picture came up in a basic Google search for free online images and did not say it was copyrighted. And I had removed that thumbnail picture after I had gotten that threat from this company, just to be on the safe side. But this company, even though I had changed the thumbnail to another picture, actually this one here, which is from Cat UXO, they still put in a copyright strike against me because I refused to promote their company. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of it, I will mention this quick. This is the company, and I highly recommend, if you are in demining, you are in explosive ordnance, you are in bomb squads, avoid this company, EO Dynamics. Their website is, no www in front of it, EODYNAMICS.co. Their headquarters is out of Malmo, Sweden. When you look up their headquarters on Google Earth, it looks like it's a dormitory at a college. They reportedly also have an office in Northern Virginia with no address. The employees that are posted online for this company all participate in left-wing organizations. Yeah. And I have found out doing other checks, this company has ties with the Ukrainian army. Yes, that group that I keep warning you about in most of the Historic Ordnance videos. So, apparently, they want to find a way to take down my channel, and they tried doing this. So avoid EO Dynamics, also known as EO Dynamics AB. Now back into the info for this video, why you are here and why I must redo this. Now, this Fuze entered service with the Russian military sometime in the early to mid 1970s. We can guess that because of the designation and the way the Soviets designated their ordnance. We can guess it entered in service around 1972. It is being used by or has been encountered in Angola, Armenia, Eritrea, Kuwait, Namibia, Nicaragua, North Korea, Rwanda, South Sudan, Tajikistan, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and it is in use with Russian forces. It is very likely that the Ukrainians have gotten a hold of some, either by capturing them from the Russian military early in the war or they were already inside stockpiles inside Ukraine left by the Soviet army, but the Ukrainians have not reported it, and it is not listed on demining websites officially that they are a user of this fuse. Now, this fuse is 5 inches in diameter. It is 3 3/4 inches from the bottom of the protective cap to the top of the fuse. Weight is 2.5 pounds. The explosive booster inside to set off the mine it's attached to is made out of tetrol. The body of this fuse is made out of aluminum. There is very, very little ferrous material inside this fuse. Now, this fuse can be employed with 3 different types of batteries according to the Russian military. All of the batteries are 1.5 volt. Batteries that are authorized include the KBU-1.5, the PMC-U-48H, and also the PMC-U-48G. Now, this battery gives these mines a combat life of around 30 days. Past 30 days, the charge goes down in those batteries, and it can get to a point where the charge can be so insufficient that the electronics inside the fuse will not function correctly, and it will not detonate the mine. Now, how these fuses work, once they're activated, they take a reading of the area around it. It checks the magnetic field, and it creates its own template inside its memory. Any changes within 1 meter of this fuse, and think of it as a sphere going underneath, over the top, and the sides. Any changes in the magnetic field will set off the fuse and detonate the mine it is attached. Now, this fuse can be used on the TM62 mine series, but it is primarily meant for the TM72 mine series, as you see in the picture here. Of the TM72 mine series, the only version that's been produced is the metal cased version. These fuses are very susceptible to corrosion, which increases the danger that the fuse will not function correctly and could detonate prematurely. Now, these fuses must be armed by hand. They can be installed on the mine, and the mine can be deployed on a mine chute, a mine trailer, or from a GMZ. However, a soldier must be behind that employment vehicle or trailer, following behind it, and must manually arm the fuse. You cannot arm the fuse before putting it down the chute on the trailer or the mine chute on the side of the vehicle, or putting it down the little conveyor on a GMZ, because you run the risk that this mine could arm while it's in the chute and detonate. Now, these fuses, on the safety notes in the Russian manual, and I will put a link to a translated version of the Soviet manual in the description and as a comment. I went through, when I did the original video, I translated the Soviet manual as best I could. I don't speak Russian. I used some translating programs, went through, cleaned it up, made it look good, and I have a nice PDF on this particular mine fuse and the TM72 mine series. Now, some of the safety notes from inside there state that these fuses cannot be used within 200 meters of power lines, within 25 meters of electrified railroad lines, cannot be used within 200 meters of radio or radar sites. And the reason for this is because the electromagnetic output from those sources could accidentally influence these mines to set them off. Now, in order for these to activate, The target, according to the Soviet manual, has to be traveling at least 3 miles per hour, but no greater than 45 miles per hour. The reason for that is greater than 45 miles per hour, they run the risk that the vehicle may actually outrun the signal from the electronics inside being sent to the detonator to set off the mine. Once there is a change in the magnetic field, it takes 0.2 seconds for that signal to get sent to the detonator to set it off. You may think, well, that's super fast, you're not going to be able to outrun it. According to the Soviet Army and the current Russian Army, it is possible if the target goes greater than 45 miles an hour. So if you are in a mechanized force, you see mines surface laid off to the side, and you see fuses that look like these on top, stomp on the gas, get the fuck out of that minefield as fast as you can. Hopefully you will outrun the blast. Or if it does go off, it'll go off at the very rear of your vehicle, and hopefully the people inside the vehicle will survive, compared to it going off dead center underneath it. The temp range for these fuses is reportedly -40 to a maximum of 122 degrees Fahrenheit. This is because of the battery that is inside the fuse, according to the manual. These fuses can be used in cold weather, snowy environments, but it does state that only a max of 6 inches of snow can be over the top of the fuse. Otherwise, it will interfere with it. Now, installation for this fuse. First off, you're going to inspect the mine that it's going to go on. If it passes inspection, that's good to go. You then need to inspect the fuse and the battery that goes with it. Now, the batteries must have an expiration date greater than 2 months from the date of that battery being used in this fuse. If it is less than 2 months, the charge in that battery could be insufficient. The Russian military says use a different battery. When you're checking the fuse, there is a major safety note. Remove the protective cap from the bottom. Check on the inside. This fuse is a clockwork type fuse with a circuit board attached. It is very similar to the MVN-72 clockwork fuse, which is for the TM62 mine series. So when you're looking under here, you need to check the position of the detonator. It needs to be horizontal, off to the side. If it is vertical, the Russian manual says do not use that fuse. Something has gone wrong. The detonator must be turned to the side. If everything is okay underneath, replace the protective cap back on the bottom, screw it back on there. Also make sure that the safety clip and the safety pin, which is not in these pictures here very well, you can kind of see it in here. Make sure that the safety clip is in place, and so is the safety pin. Now, everything passes inspection. You can put the fuse on the mine. However, it was recommended do not do it until you're at the installation location. So we move to the place where it's going to be installed. These can be buried, but if these mines are buried, they cannot be recovered. It is recommended that they are surface laid, hidden in vegetation. So we get to the location where the mine's going to go in. We put the mine down where it's going to go. We remove the protective cap from the mine. We pull out the fuse. And we screw it into the top of the mine. We then use the arming key, open up the little plug here, which is this position, remove the arming plug, and install the battery. There is a drawing on top of the fuse showing you how the battery needs to go in there, and it must go in there the correct way. Once it is in there, screw that plug back in there to hold the battery in and prevent moisture from getting inside. At that point, you remove the safety pin and then you pull the safety clip out. Lift up on the clockwork key, lift it to a vertical position, and then there's an arrow on here showing the direction it has to go. Turn it 180 degrees clockwise. What you are doing, you are winding up the clockwork mechanism inside the fuse, getting it ready. When you do that, everything will be set. There is a button which is right here. It's missing in this picture. It's right underneath the clockwork key. Take your thumb, just like on an MVN-72 fuse, press down on that arming button. At that point, you are beginning the arming process, and you have 30 seconds to lower the clockwork key back down, camouflage the mine, and get away from the mine. It takes between 30 seconds to a maximum of 2 minutes, but according to the manual, you must clear away from the mine within 30 seconds, otherwise you run the risk of the mine detonating. Now, there is also one really important note, which I did not mention to you, and that is when you are emplacing these fuses, you cannot have any metal on you at all. According to the manual, entrenching tools, weapons, helmets, anything can influence the magnetic fuse when it's trying to create its template and give it a false reading. So then when that magnetic field changes, it's supposed to detonate, you get the idea. It could potentially go off with you nearby. Now, removal on this. According to the Russian manual, it says don't destroy these mines in place. However, a little bit farther into the manual, it does give the safing procedures for this fuse for if absolutely necessary, but these procedures can only be done on surface laid mines. And the deminer, the engineer that's going in to safe the fuse, cannot have any metal on them at all, as that could potentially change the magnetic fuse or the magnetic field, setting off the mine in your face. So, we have no metal on us. We have no choice. We have to disarm these mines, get them out of the area. Approach it very carefully. Check around it. Make sure there's no other protective mines and booby traps. You can't do anything about them at this time because the fuse is active. But you need to be aware of them. If you're able to, it's safe enough. Approach the mine in the prone. Lift up on the clockwork key. Turn it 180 degrees to reset the detonator. So we're now turning that 180 degrees again. It's moving the detonator from the armed vertical position back to the horizontal. Once that is done, the little arming button hidden under here will rise back up. There is a safety note. If the arming button does not rise up, destroy the mine in place. Do not attempt any further steps on removal. The fuse is malfunctioning. So the arming button has come up. At that point, we will slip the safety clip back in, lower the clockwork key, make sure everything lines up. The safety clip goes underneath the arming button. We then take the safety pin, put it across the top here to immobilize the clockwork key. At that point, you go through carefully remove the fuse from the top of the mine. Gently set it off to the side, and then check the mine for anti-handling devices, and take care of any booby traps or protective mines that are around this. Once everything's clear, take the mine and the fuse and turn it in at the mine dump for either disposal or reuse. Now, if the mine is to be reused, once it is back at the mine dump, they need to take the arming key, open up the battery compartment, and remove that battery. It cannot be stored with the battery inside, and the battery that was in here must be gotten rid of. It must be disposed of. It cannot be reused, at least not with this fuse. Now, these fuses are very dangerous, and I would not attempt using these or removing these unless I absolutely had to. If I were to ever come across a minefield that had these types of fuses on them, I would think primarily on how to destroy the mines in place instead of going through and disarming them. But depending on location, its proximity to other targets that are very explosive in nature, like fuel tanks or stockpiles of ammunition, or it's in an area filled with civilians, then maybe I would have to go through, try to disarm these, and move them out of the area for disposal. So there you go. The redone video for the Russian MVN-72 magnetically influenced anti-tank mine fuse. And once again, the only reason I have to redo this video is because this company, EO Dynamics, also known as EO Dynamics AB, threatened me, wants me to promote their company and their products, or they were going to basically try to get my channel removed. Now, you may wonder, what is their products? They are a software company, and the screenshots I've seen of their software, we're talking 1990s level graphics from video games. And the information in that software is the same information I give to you for free in these videos, but this company wants you to pay over 2,000 euros for their 1990s era graphics computer program to give you the same info I'm giving you for free. So avoid them like the plague that they are. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essay ons.